This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Got to find a home, sweet home. Help me somebody. I got to find it. Got to find a home in your heart.
Well, there's a band really trying hard to find a home. On Boomer Life, the Derek Truck Band, Sterling Fox with guests from Revera's Hollyburn House in West Vancouver. Now, there's a home worth finding, as I found out myself very recently. Took a trip over to West Vancouver, Marine Drive, and it was at 20th Street, right on the corner, Hollyburn House, right?
Yeah,
right across from the main branch of the West Vancouver Public Library. And I remember when Nicole, by the way, I should let you know that Kathy Russell and Nicole Chandler from Hollyburn House are with me in studio here on this episode of Boomer Life. And when Nicole was showing me around, there's a small library area on the main floor off the lobby. And that's where you, in fact, have visits with us boomers and sometimes our parents when people come to Hollyburn House to just have a look around and learn about all of the amenities and options available. And I, of course, being snarky, said, well, it's kind of a small library, eh? And Nicole comes right back. I mean, not even a half beat missed. That's because the main library branch of West Vancouver is 50 feet from here across the street, Sterling. Oh, well, that would make perfect sense then. And I'm curious, do residents walk across the street to the library frequently and take full advantage of all the incredible options? West Van is a terrific library.
Yeah, if our library isn't enough, the Memorial Library is right across the street, which is great. We're very lucky with our location. We've got lots of great little spaces around us.
Yeah, and just enough to take care of snooty visitors and snarky remarks.
Yes, exactly.
Wanted to talk to you about something that you mentioned, Nicole, and Kathy mentioned as well, and that's something that Revera is starting to roll out across Canada. They're doing it in Ontario and in British Columbia, and the British Columbia community that has been selected to try and implement Live Well is Hollyburn House, your community right here in West Vancouver. So tell us a little bit, Nicole, both of you. Tell us about Live Well, what's behind it, and why does Revera feel so strongly that it needs to work here because we want to do it right across Canada?
Well, Live Well is actually now launched in all of our communities that do offer assisted living and care. So that would be 5 communities. Hollyburn, yes, you're right. We're the ones to kick it off early last year. Crofton Manor, Whitecliff, Parkwood Court. So 4 communities.
Okay.
So we all are now offering the Live Well program. It's a very unique program by way of how personalized it is. You can imagine that a person, all of us have very different little things that we need help with. So you can imagine that with my residents in their 80s and 90s have very specific needs, and each one is going to be very unique.
Right.
So with the Live Well program, we're really able to specify the level of support someone needs with the 7 different themes, or 7 or 8 different themes that we offer.
Okay.
The traditional way of doing things would maybe be looking at someone as a level 1 or a level 2 or a level 5 or requiring minutes of care. And with what we do, we're able to really diversify and offer specific support. So someone may not need any help in a number of the themes, but really needs a lot of help getting up and getting going in the morning with their personal care, and require assistance with their medications, and maybe just needs a tidge of help with something else. So we're really able to go all over the place with the levels of support that someone needs.
Kathy, when any person comes into a retirement community like Hollyburn House, what are the protocols? And again, this is just a general question for us boomers. What hoops does everyone have to go through in order to just be invited in? I would assume there's a fairly extensive medical assessment.
You bet. And so obviously the first point of contact is often Nicole, our lifestyle consultant.
Sure.
And then there is an assessment that is arranged with our Director of Health and Wellness. And our Director of Health and Wellness would go through the Live Well program, do an assessment to find out where it is that they need help or where they don't. And then, of course, there is lots of medical forms that need to be completed as
Sure.
well. Nicole has really worked to streamline that process with the family members so that this is the package you need to take to your doctor. We need you to complete this this contact information, and then also with the directors of health and wellness setting up that appointment. So there are some things that need to be done in order for a move-in to happen.
So with all of that, now all of the forms have been filled out, and there's a pretty strong package. Now the workup is all done. So when is the assessment made, Nicole, as to whether the person is eligible for independent living or assisted living or the third complex care level? Who makes that assessment?
Well, initially, usually how this works is a child will call me and arrange to come in and have a chat. And usually just from that initial conversation, I can get a fairly clear picture
Sure.
of the level of support. We then would encourage a family member to come in for a visit with that child. That allows me to set eyes on the possible resident and get a much clearer picture of what level of support we're looking at.
Right.
There's definitely a big shift in someone when someone is requiring full care, and asking some digging in and asking some good questions and understanding what makes up their day and where they might be struggling really helps me to get a clearer picture of the level of support one's going to need.
Right. Okay.
Once we've got a ballpark idea of what what sort of supports throughout the Live Well program they're going to require, and I understand what level of support, and always talking with the Director of Health and Wellness, bouncing ideas off of them as well, trying to figure out the levels of support. We should have a very clear picture. Then we get all the forms in, and then they would sit down with that Director of Health and Wellness, as Kathy said, for a full assessment.
Kathy, the government of British Columbia has made some interesting statements recently about their designs upon seniors in our province, and it seems to be going in the reverse direction of the last 10 to 15 years of growth of retirement communities in not only British Columbia but right across Canada. The government seems to think that more and more of us seniors in our province should stay at home and be cared for, I guess, less expensively. That would be, I'm assuming that's what they're, because they seem to be driven mostly by costs.
Yes.
So that seems to be the new mantra from Victoria. Wherever possible, keep them at home. And that seems to fly in the face of this incredibly rapidly developing, ever growing in popularity, seniors community living. So how do you square that circle?
Well, yes, it is very interesting. And we say that home can be Hollyburn House. We know when our seniors move to Hollyburn House how many things improve for them.
Sure.
As we talked about the socialization, having meals prepared for them. Perhaps it's a little help with their medications. So being part of our assisted living program, and we've seen when seniors take their medications on a regular basis how well they do, and those are the types of services that we can offer as well at Hollyburn House, and that can be their home too.
Right.
So we're really pushing that theme that they can come and join us and just thrive in our community.
How many people live there? How many residents do you have at Hollyburn House?
We have a total of 102.
Okay.
We have 3 couples at the moment, and so we have the breakdown of 66 independent living. Of that, we have 20 that are registered with our assisted living program, and then we have 36 in our licensed care center.
Okay. So quite a diverse population, Nicole. I know a woman who lives here in Metro Vancouver who is probably a very good example of what you were talking about earlier. Someone who lives in the house that was long since paid for. There's no issues there. But in this case, the woman is a prisoner in her own house. She has 2 bad knees and can't go up and down stairs. So she can't go to the front door of her house. It's up a flight of 8 stairs from the front door. She's fine. The kitchen, her bedroom, and the living room are all on the main floor. She hasn't been upstairs in her house in years, and when somebody comes to her front door, it's there's lots of yelling going on, and her children are trying to get it. One of those door front communication things. Mom, you just press the button and go hello, and the person says hello right back at you. But I guess that's coming. But so this notion that just by virtue of being in the home somehow is better for you, I think is misplaced in some cases, especially this case where this woman, she has no option. She couldn't leave her home if she wanted to.
Yeah, she's completely isolated.
That's right.
Completely isolated, and we see what that isolation can do to our seniors. They start to struggle cognitively. Maybe their diet is crashing because they're not getting out to get their groceries. They don't have that stimulation and interaction. It makes such a huge difference.
Sure.
I'll have a family that'll come in, bring mom or dad in, and yeah, they're really kind of struggling and in a little bit of a shell when I'm initially speaking to them. They move in, might take about a month to get their bearings and get comfortable in the space.
But you do notice a difference.
You notice them blossom.
Right.
It's such
Absolutely.
a huge difference.
Right.
It's amazing. Not every single person that comes to see us is going to be a social butterfly.
Sure.
So we're not, saying that you're going to be involved with everything. You're going to go to this. I have those people. But you may just connect with a couple of folks and have a good little conversation on a daily basis with this group of folks. We see that all the time, and it's so lovely to watch someone just get comfortable again, have that friendship, that connection. I mean, that touch, all of it.
The human touch.
Yeah.
Kathy, back to that woman that I was referring to just a few minutes ago. The house. Her husband died a few years ago, so she's by herself. She has adult children and grandchildren, some of whom are in the area. Others live in other provinces.
Sure.
So she's kind of pretty typical.
Very common.
But in her case, even though the house is paid for, she's not living free. There's property taxes that get paid on that place every year. Somebody comes in, and because her kids aren't around regularly enough to be counted upon to do the hedges and the lawn, the lawn, we're fortunate this winter we haven't had any snow shoveling to deal with. But those chores, the maintenance and upkeep chores, still have to be done. She's in no shape at all to do any of that. So people come in, and she pays people to do all of these tasks that the normal maintenance and upkeep that any house requires.
Yeah,
so even though she may have paid for that house, or they may have paid for that house decades ago, she's not living in a vacuum. It still costs day after day, no matter where you live, Nicole. So when people come to you, and I would imagine one of the first things we boomers want to get down to brass tacks about is the math. What's it cost to crunch some numbers for me? Do you find that in some cases they go, oh my gosh, well, it doesn't cost her anything to live where she lives now. Do you hear that?
Oh, of course.
Because it's just not true, is it?
Exactly. So that's some of the conversations we're going to have is who's coming in, who's doing what. It's amazing what's covered off in the rental rates at communities like Hollyburn House. And there's not a huge difference we find when you look at the benefit of making that move.
Right.
It's people don't think about all those little expenses, the hydro.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you start adding them up. The stuff that if you're sort of cruising along and you're working and all the rest of that stuff, it's bills. Put it in the bill pile, we'll pay it. Don't even think twice about it.
Yeah.
But when it's not part of the routine and the cash flow is gone and all the rest of it, suddenly there's a lot of details to take care of, and they all cost something.
Absolutely.
There are no freebies out there, are there?
A new roof costs a lot of money.
I was just thinking
brother,
new roof.
did it ever.
And so we look after all of those things. Cables included, phone is included as well.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about pets. For some reason, it hadn't occurred to me to ask about pets. Now, I was out there a week or two ago, and I asked at the time, and because somebody had a dog near the front desk, and I said, "Oh, that's a cute little dog." And Nicole said, "Well, that's actually one of our staff members' dog." And I said, "Well, what about residents? Are they allowed to have dogs?" "Well, of course they are. It's their home."
Yeah.
But you said no dogs at the moment. You had cats.
I've got a dog coming in.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
one cat and we have a dog moving in. So,
Okay. But
yes.
it's a pet-friendly
Definitely.
environment.
Yeah.
Now, what about, now I realize that you said some of your residents are in their 80s and 90s and so on, but so what? A lot of these people are still very active, and many of them are still very mobile. If I want to move into Hollyburn House and I'm still driving, thank you very much, is there parking? Is there room for me and my car?
Yep, as long as you've got a driver's license, you've got a parking spot.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Yep, parking, storage. And if there is ever a time where you do not have a driver's license, we do have transportation. We have a bus. So we have outings as well. So it really creates a little more ease in lifestyle.
Yeah, I talked to my mom the other day on Valentine's Day, and she's 92, and she had to turn in her car on her 91st birthday. Nobody said you have to. She just thought, well, I should probably just park it for good. So I'm talking to her on the phone just a few days ago, and oh my gosh, I can't believe how much I miss my car.
Yeah.
It's the independence. It's just the fact that, if I just suddenly feel like going for a drive or going to visit my sister, I can just pick up and boom, off I go. And no second thoughts, no nothing. And that independence, it still bugs her a fair bit. But at Hollyburn, you have the luxury, Nicole, of your car in the basement if you've still got it, or you can arrange for a ride and take off to wherever you want.
That's right. That's right. With our bus trips, I mean, they head off. We'll head out towards Steveston. We'll go up to Squamish, maybe to something as simple as going up into the properties at Christmas time and looking at the Christmas lights. So we have that service. And it can be very interesting to go on a bus trip when you have the wide spectrum of ages that we have because of the history that's on that bus.
I was just going to say, people who have seen so much.
Lived in the area.
How much things have changed. And so the bus trips are really, I want to go on one so badly because I hear such great stories. And then we also have scheduled transportation to the shopping centers and so on.
Well, Park Royal's just a little
That's right.
hop and a skip down the road, isn't it?
That's right.
Our guests in studio are Kathy Russell and Nicole Chandler from Revera's Hollyburn House in West Vancouver. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650. I'm Sterling Fox, and we'll be back with lots more in a moment.
Canada's only weekly radio show dedicated to the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.